Okay, there we go. Hello, I'm Vanessa Kelly and I work in the waste team here at WNC. I'm guessing I'm probably the only waste officer in the room. Yeah, which is unusual. Normally I'm just talking to waste people, but it makes a nice change. But waste has been mentioned an awful lot today. It's obviously one of the reasons we interact with every household in the area every week, and it's one of the major reasons why people do contact the council for our services. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the waste app that we have, that we introduced back in 2018. That was before we became West Northamptonshire Council. I was working at Daventry at the time, and Daventry were introducing a new sort of all brand new refuse and recycling system. Literally everything was changing on one day, and part of that was that we were moving black bin collections from fortnightly to every 3 weeks. So we, as a team, sat down to write the collection calendar. I expect you all have collection calendars for your various services, your refuse services. And then we realised how complicated it was, because although the black bin was being collected every 3 weeks, actually that meant it was a 6-week pattern of collections. And so we sat down and were scratching our heads thinking, oh my word, this is really complicated. How are we going to get our heads around this? And even more importantly, how are the residents going to get their heads around what bins they need to put out on what weeks? So we came to the conclusion that we needed something that would send a reminder to households, either the night before or the morning of their collections, telling them exactly which bins it was that they were due to put out that week. And so we started looking around for apps that would do that. And there were few on the market, but we sort of evaluated them all and came up with the fact the Cloud9 app was the best one, and it gave us the best sort of functionality that we wanted. So we introduced that with about 4 weeks to go before go live of the new service. So it really was last minute, and but it worked well. We worked really well with the team at Cloud9, and we managed to get it in on time. We promoted the app with all of our new service literature that went out to every household. So there was a little advert for the app, and one of my favourite things to do at the time was to sit and watch the portal and watch the sign-ups happen, and they were literally hundreds and hundreds of sign-ups every day, and that has never really slowed down. If I logged onto the portal now, I would guarantee that people have downloaded it today. It's really popular. So when, and I think that we would say that the 3 weekly refuse collection was a little bit controversial at the time, but it was one of the reasons it was such a success was partly because of the app, because people knew exactly what they were doing and when they were doing. When we became West Northamptonshire Council in April 2021, we took the decision to increase coverage of the app, first to former South Northamptonshire, so we included residents in South Northamptonshire onto the app, and then more recently we've moved Northampton residents onto the app as well, so everybody in West Northamptonshire now can download the app. If you live in West Northamptonshire and you haven't downloaded the app, please do, it's really useful. So to date, the app has been downloaded 52,000. Oh, actually, yes, we've got it at the bottom there. 52,823 times, and there's about 19,000 users of it that are using it for more than just the bin reminders. So they're using it for something else, and I'll go on to explain what those are in a minute. Of those people that have downloaded it, 23,500 of those are receiving the weekly push notification from us to tell them what bins to put out for their next collection. And it's so in the last 60 days, it will only tell me what's happened in the last 60 days. 1,315 reports of an issue have been made through the app to us that we can then act upon. So this is when I wish I'd been a little bit braver and just done a demo for you, but it was really complicated when we did one last time, getting the technology to work. So that's what the app looks like. Those are the buttons on it when you downloaded it, put your address in and set yourself up on it. And those are the various sort of modules of it. So I'll just talk you through what those modules are, because we primarily bought it for the notifications, but it has so much more in it that is becoming increasingly useful for us and for our residents. So the first button there, news, that's very simple. That just links straight through to the council's website and our news feed. So any council press release that's been issued, they can read it there. It's in a funny order. I'll go through the screen there. Socials, as you'd imagine, that links through to the council's social feeds, so that you can keep up to date with what's going on. Report It, that is something that we've introduced relatively recently. That is so that when members of the public are out and about and they see something that they would like to report to the council, this is mainly waste and environmental services things at the moment. So, for example, fly tipping, litter bins overflowing, abandoned shopping trolleys, graffiti, things like that. Stray dogs, I think we've got on there. They can take a photograph of it, go onto the app, take a photograph of it. The app knows where you are, so you can say, this issue is here, rather than having to try and put in you can do it later if you go home and you want to put the location in, but it's much easier to do it while you're actually standing there, and you can take a photo, put the GPS in, it knows where you are, and then you can submit it to the council, and that will go straight into Jadu, and you will get a reference number so that you can follow that up at a later date. So that's something. How long have we had it now? It's probably a bit longer than I can imagine, but
6 months.
6 months, is it? Yeah, so we've had it for about 6 months now, getting well used, as I said, 1,315 times in the last 60 days. Vast majority of that is fly tipping. So people are seeing it, going on the app, taking a photograph, doing it immediately, and then going on their way. So it is pretty much waste, recycling, street cleansing types issues at the moment on Report It, but there's no limit to what you can put on there. We can think about putting all sorts of things on it. We might end up putting highways issues, all sorts of other things on there, so people can report it easily to us. The councillors button, that is, as it suggests, it just means that it links to the council's website, and so the information is current on both at the same time. You don't have to update one without the other, and it just tells you who your local councillor is and how to get hold of them, what their contact details are if you need to. The waste collections button in the middle there, that's sort of an extension of the notifications. So the notification will come through each week telling you what bins to put out. But at any point during the week, if you want to check what's next, if you're deciding whether to cut the grass and is your bin going to get emptied this week or the following week, is there space? You can go on that button and it will tell you what your next scheduled collections are, and then you can see the pattern. But you can also tap on each bin, and they are all made to look like West Northampton Council bins. They're our colours, they're our sizes, that sort of thing, and it will tell you exactly what content must be in that bin. So it will tell you what you can put in your black bin and what you can't put in your black bin. It will tell you the same for the recycling bin and the garden waste bin and the food waste caddy. So that gives a comprehensive list, and it helps us cut down contamination and bins not being emptied for the reason people put the wrong thing, so it prevents having to go back for collections. Recycling info is another relatively new one, and it's basically a whole directory of waste items, and it will tell you which bin they go in. So you can search for batteries, foil, aerosol, Christmas cards, all sorts of things, whatever you want, and it will tell you which bin to put them in, or whether to take them to a charity shop, or whether to take them to the household waste recycling centre. And again, that cuts down on contamination, and it cuts down on calls to the council. Can I recycle this? What do I do with that? So that's a relatively new thing that we've introduced, and that's helping get enabling people to put the right thing in the right bin for us. Moving down to the bottom there, find my nearest. That's another really useful thing. Again, that uses the GPS in the app so that the app knows where you are. So if you are in the centre of Northampton and you want to find where the council offices are, you can go and find the council offices, and it will tell you where they are, how far away you are, a map, opening times, contact details. And basically you can put anything into there. You control it yourself. You don't have to go back to the app provider. We have a portal that we put all this information into. And so we have got on there your nearest library, museum, household waste recycling centre, public toilets, food bank, warm spaces, galleries, parks. I'm trying to think what else we've got. Also, an array of things that people might want to be able to find and know the opening times. Libraries, did I say libraries? All of those are on there, and that is quite a job keeping that up to date. So when libraries change their opening times or things like that, that is quite a job keeping that one up to date, because that doesn't link anywhere. That's up to you to keep that one up to date. So we have had the odd, that library's changed its opening times and you need to change that on the app. So we get and undo that. Eating out, the next one. That, again, knows where you are. So if you're hungry and you need a sandwich, you can press that button and it will tell you your nearest place to eat, restaurant, pub, cafe, whatever. And that one links to the Food Standards Agency website. So it then will tell you, directions, how far you are away, opening times, that sort of thing. But it also will give you their food hygiene rating, so you can decide whether you want to eat in a 5-star or a 1-star. And so obviously that links with the work of the council's environmental health officers when they do those inspections. So that information, that's another thing we don't have to touch. That's all updated by the Food Standards Agency, so that's always current. And then lastly is the contact button, which obviously is you can click on something and email us, or you can get the phone number and it will obviously phone us and you can contact us that way. The other thing that the app does, which isn't shown on there, is we can send push notifications whenever we want to. And I don't have to pay any extra for that. I pay an annual licence fee for the app, and I can send as many push notifications as I want to. And I can go onto the portal and I can select one individual house, a whole refuse round, a town, a street, a ward, the whole place, any other combination that you can imagine. And I can send a message out just like that. So we use that for, so I sent one out last week because there were about 3 rounds in Northampton that hadn't completed on the day, and residents needed to know that to leave their bins out for the following day and we would be back. So I selected the correct refuse rounds, sent them all a message, just like that. Obviously it's only people that have downloaded the app, but as we know, if one neighbour puts the correct bin out, then people down the road tend to follow. We haven't, but I know that emergency services are in emergency planning are interested in it because, I mean, for example, in Daventry, and I think it is because of the 3 weekly, we have a really high take-up of the app. So I reckon around 50% of households have downloaded the app at some point. So if you can send a message to 50% of your households just like that at no cost, that's pretty powerful. And so it has got a lot of applications. So what I've used it for is Christmas arrangements. So when we figured out what our bin arrangements are for Christmas, for bank holidays, we send an app message out. We send one out or several out at garden waste sign-up time of year, reminding residents that if they want their garden waste collected, they need to pay us again. Obviously, disruption if rounds are broken down. We can even send a notification out to a street, say, park cars, we couldn't get into your street this morning, we'll be back tomorrow, or please move your cars. We're going to be using it more for more targeted things around encouraging recycling and making sure batteries don't go in bins, making sure contamination is out of the recycling and into the black bin. But also things like, I had a year once where we just sent out all of our Christmas comms around when we were collecting bins over the Christmas period, and then 2 days later we had an enormous dump of snow, and all those arrangements went completely out the window. This was way before the app, and trying to tell people what to put out when the situation's changing. You don't know whether it's going to snow again, whether it's going to thaw, whether it's going to be icy. It was really challenging. So we will be able to send that message out on a regular basis to say what's happening the following day with your collections, and it will hopefully reduce calls to the customer content centre enormously. So we use those notifications all the time. Other council teams send me a little email and say, Vanessa, could you please send out? So we send out notification about signing up to the council's newsletter. That got a lot more sign-ups to the newsletter. And the thing that I really like about those notifications is that they can't reply. So you can just tell them, and then you don't have to listen to all the stuff that you get on social media, all the comments and the backlash. They just get the information and deal with it, basically. So that's the app. We've got some information about next steps, but I think Megan's going to cover that, aren't you?
So we've sort of already spoken about sort of some additional things that we want to be adding in, so things like the planning register. You've also mentioned about the flooding as well. One thing that I haven't got on here, and we've spoken about it a lot, but it's that reporting element as well. Especially with our report it at the moment, we ask customers to tell us what type of waste it is and the size of it. So is it a small van load? Is it a large van load? But I want to be able to get to a point where we don't have to ask customers for that information. We've got some data in the background that's able to work all of that out, and we can send out the right crews so we've got the right size going out. Also payments, that's another big one. So especially for our garden waste subscriptions. And as we've also spoken about as well, it's reporting them highways issues as well. I'll report it. I could sit and talk about that all day. I don't know if Luke's in the room. You are. Luke is our awesome techie guy, and he's built an incredible HTML form for Report It, and that is linked with Jadu. And as I say, you can report your issue, it goes straight to our waste providers, and we're also able to get updates back. So if we weren't able to pick up some fly tipping due to an access issue, we get those notifications back as well. And going back to what I was saying in the last presentation, with the My Account, again, if we can link up Report It issues with the My Account, it's going to make our jobs a lot easier, and we can reduce them chase-ups that are coming through. So yeah, that's our awesome app. Thank you.
Yeah.